Hello everybody and welcome back. So today's video is pretty much just going to be me yapping and talking the entire time, but I've been wanting to make a video about just talking about how living life in my 20s has been like so far. I will say I am only 23, turning 24 very soon, but I am reaching the point of the quarter life crisis. So I thought it'd be fun and just nice to sort of just sit down and talk, and also that helps me sort of gather and organize my thoughts a little better. So yeah. Also, if you are wondering what that is over there, oh, that is my cat sleeping, sitting on a bed that my sister made out of a blanket. So like I said, I'm currently 23. I'm going to be 24 literally tomorrow. And I actually had a discussion with my friends over New Year's earlier this year. We were like, okay, 20 to 23 is your early 20s, 24 to 26 is your mid 20s, and 27 to 30 or 29 is your late 20s. And I feel like time is just going by so much quicker once you actually reach quote unquote adulthood. In high school, honestly, I have no recollection of high school actually, or middle school or anything before that, just sort of vague, core memories, you could say. But it's crazy to think that I am reaching my mid-20s and I've been out of college for a few years now. I'm working my job, but compared to what you could say is the standard or expectation for people who are reaching their mid to late 20s is, to be moved out of their parents' house, to be working their full-time job, working towards getting a house. I'm still in my mom's house, my parents' house, but I'm not complaining. I am currently living rent-free, attempting to pay all of my loans while still working from home, which I am very thankful for. But I can't help but feel rushed, and I feel like a lot of people feel the same way. I'm also not dating, and I feel like the idea of getting into a relationship while in your 20s is so daunting, because if you get into a relationship when you're in your 20s and you guys date for a couple to a few years, but then you break up, and at that time you're already in your late 20s, reaching 30, and at that point it's like, oh, I have to find someone now. And that thought is honestly really terrifying. I don't even know if I like to think I'm ready for a relationship after being in a couple, but I've been out of a relationship for a couple of years now. But the idea of marriage is honestly really scary. I don't really know if I want to get married. I don't really know if I want to have kids. Stuff like that is, oh my goodness. And some of my friends are already married or engaged to be married or in long-term relationships. And sometimes it's hard, to not compare your life to other people's or your friends. But me personally, I shouldn't be, or I'm not complaining, but it's sometimes I'm like, oh, a boyfriend would be nice. But I'm not putting myself out there. I'm not socializing. I'm not putting myself on the apps. The apps kind of scare me. I'm a very not social person, antisocial. I don't really go out unless my friends ask me first. I'm never really the one to make plans first. So honestly, if I don't date, I won't be surprised, because I'll have no one to blame but myself because I don't put myself out there. But I digress. And another point that I kind of struggle with a lot is like career. I do have a job. I work from home. I work for a nonprofit company. I'm staring at my computer all day for 8 hours a day. It's not the most riveting job, but it brings in money, enough money that I need for now. But with my degree, I got a psychology degree as a bachelor's. I did at a point consider going to grad school. Eventually decided no, because to me, I think if I just did school again for another 4 to however many years, I think I would actually want to die. So ultimately I decided that school was not for me, and I just didn't have the passion for what I was going to work towards if I did continue my degree in that field. So that's why I ultimately decided against it. But at the moment, I still don't really know what I want to do. I don't really have any passions and anything that I want to work towards. If anything, I have a lot of hobbies that I like to do, and that's obviously not something, unless I have a passion for it and want to turn it into my full-time job. But I just really lack motivation to do a lot of things. If I do find interest in something, I usually either end up making excuses for it, or I just feel really lazy, and it ends up getting put to the side along with a lot of my other hobbies. And I think because I lack passion and motivation to do things, I don't really know how long I'm going to be stuck at my current job for. I do really love my team, the people that I work with. I do work from home, but I do still get a fair amount of interaction with people, even though it's through a computer screen. And honestly, the idea of having to find another job and learn a whole new skill set deters me even more from my current job and just other things that I don't like about my current job. And also the job, the just looking for jobs, the hiring field is absolutely atrocious right now. The economy for jobs is terrible. People are losing jobs or getting laid off, and yeah, the world sucks right now. And there's just so many things that I feel like people in their 20s have to think about, unless they're already at a point where they're like, oh, I'm established here, and here. But I feel like a majority of people who are in their 20s, whether they're still in school, or post-grad school, or considering going back to school, or just trying to figure out what they want to do, if they want to stay at their current job, or find a new passion and find a new career. It's just so difficult, and sometimes I just lay awake at night thinking about it. Also, sorry if I'm going off on tangents. I'm just spitballing on what pops into my mind right now. And recently, I told my friends this, but my mom never ever asks me if I'm dating, but recently she started asking if I'm seeing anybody as a joke, but I'm like, is it really a joke? But sometimes, every once in a few weeks or a couple months, she's like, 남자친구 있어? Do you have a boyfriend in Korean? And I'm like, no, I don't. I don't leave the house. And even though my mom is joking, asking if I have a boyfriend, I feel like that little joke just, starts a whole, set of, thoughts, and kind of puts me into a spiral, because I'm like, oh, I don't have a boyfriend. When am I ever going to get a boyfriend? If I don't get a boyfriend, I'm never going to get married. What if I don't get married? I'm going to be working and supporting myself the rest of my life. Supporting the rest of my life. Job? Do I like my job? And it's just a whole spiral. And I feel like it's happening a lot more often than I like. And it's just, I don't know. And for me, another thing I'm really struggling with a lot since college and post-college is religion. So pretty much my entire life, I grew up in, a religious Christian family. My mom, she is a very devout Christian. My dad is not, but, my dad is my dad. But I have, grown up in the church. I still go to church, but since college, it has been very difficult for me to really determine if I do believe, in the faith, in Christianity, and all of those things. From elementary school to high school, and I guess a little bit of in the beginning of college, I was, consider myself a Christian, a believer in the faith. But I think a lot of things and events that just happened and occurred in college, and as well as I feel like COVID had a really big part of that. And I was also very depressed in college, and I think that also had a very big factor into that. I slowly, drifted away from the faith, you could say. And it's especially difficult for me because of the fact that I grew up in the church. 99% of my friends and community came from the church. So if I were to, hypothetically cut off, or just, I guess you could say, renounce my faith, I think is the correct term, then I feel like I would be pretty much cutting off my entire social circle. And that isn't to say that I can still hang out with my friends, who are, still Christians. That's not, gonna be the case. But again, because I grew up in the Christian faith and it's at the current church that I go to, I feel like that one, commonality between me and pretty much almost everybody in my entire life, because that's going to be gone, there's definitely going to be something that's, missing, and I feel like all of those relationships are eventually going to be drifting away, because that was the one thing that, brought us together, you could say. And yeah, I'm currently trying to figure out where I stand in that, but honestly, it's been a really stressful time, because religion isn't really just something you can say, oh, I believe in it, oh, I don't. And because I grew up in it, I have so much quote unquote knowledge, you could say, about it. And because that's always in the back of my mind, I'm always, thinking, I'm like, oh, so is it real? Is it not? But if it is real, then this, but if it's not, then that. And I'm always having these, kind of conversations with myself in my head. But another reason is because it's so important to my mom specifically. It's hard to, I guess, make that decision to be like, oh, I'm not going to pursue this, search, you could say, any longer. But yeah, religion, definitely a harder topic. Not everybody, struggles with this because they either just don't associate with religion or don't care. But for me, this has been one point that has been a very big struggle in my life. And some of my other friends, they do they're in the same position where they're not sure where they stand. And I feel like if you are in the Christian community, especially from where I'm from, like the Nova church community, a lot of people, I feel like, who are in their mid-20s or just post-college, a lot of people that age tend to fall away from the church just because they go through life and they don't go back, which is totally fine. But that was kind of me for a while. But yeah, honestly, sometimes I just want to not think about it anymore, and I feel like that would be a lot easier. But there's something stopping me just because of a lot of other factors. But yeah, religion is hard. And something I brought up earlier is, the fact that I don't have a social life that much. I am really thankful, though, that I do have a close-knit group of, friends and just people that I know I can rely on and I can, hang out with, I can talk to them. But I can't help but worry that a couple years or a few years down the line, I'm gonna be very lonely. And this isn't, honestly, getting into a relationship is sort of at the bottom of my list. So it's not relationships, but just friendships. I feel like your 20s it really is the prime time to establish your social circle. I don't know why I said circle like that, but you have your friends from, your childhood or high school or college, and those are the people, or, you decide if you want to keep certain people in your life. And I'm at the point right now where I think I have established my, social circle, you could say. But again, I do have that irrational fear, maybe not so irrational, that I'm gonna have no friends in a couple to a few years. But yeah, because of the fact that I don't go out that often, I don't really push myself to meet new people. If there are events that I know are happening or things I know that are happening that could serve as an opportunity for me to meet new people, I immediately say no. Because I'm an introvert. I don't blame it only on my introvertedness, but I am just really, really awkward. I'm terrified of talking to new people. I hate small talk with all of my heart. I hate small talk. And I just find it really difficult to keep the flow of a conversation myself. I feel that I'm not really great at starting conversation, but I think I can keep the conversation flowing once it starts, but I need someone else to, you know, do kind of the grunt work in the beginning. And then I'm like, maybe I can keep it going from there. But in the end, I think if I end up with no friends, it'll honestly be 100% my fault. But yeah, I definitely do want to be better about that. But I feel like just, you know, being in your 20s and having to, you know, establish, you know, just your life, you know, with friends is just so daunting. Because, I don't know, I feel like everyone just, you know, people say they don't really care. People don't really care, you know, they're not thinking about you, they're not looking at you, yada yada yada. I have anxiety. I overthink everything all the time. So, and again, I'm just a really awkward person. So, you know, I might end up alone. And when you're in your 20s, I would always hear from adults, or whether it was my mom or, you know, adults that I knew, that, oh, you're so young, you have so much time to do what you want, you know, you can go back to school, or you can pursue a hobby, or you can travel. And when I graduated, I was fairly young. I was 20 years old when I graduated, and then I turned 21 a few months later, and I was right when I literally just turned 2021, and my mom was always telling me how I was so young to, you know, and I had so much time to pursue anything really that I wanted to. And now I'm turning 24, and I feel like I wasted 2 years of my life already, because I didn't work for a year after I graduated because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And for like a fourth chunk of that time, I was still in Richmond where I went to school. I was still living there for the time being because I wanted to, you know, be around friends, and I didn't want to move back home immediately. And I just wanted to feel free for a little bit of time, like I didn't have any responsibility because I was out of school. But I do feel like when I think about it, I do feel like I wasted 2 years of my life. And I'm pretty sure down the line, when I turn 26, 27, and then when I turn 29, 30, I'm gonna feel the same way that I wasted, you know, my 20s not pursuing this certain thing, or I'll regret not doing this and that. And obviously there's no surefire way to guarantee that you're not going to regret anything after, you know, you pass your 20s. But when you're in your 20s, I feel like there's just so much, you know, again, unwanted pressure to do everything that you can before you turn a certain age. Because by the time you turn a certain age, you have to be married, or you have to have your dream job, you have to be a homeowner, and there are just too many milestones, I feel, you know, you could say, that you feel that you have to reach within a certain amount of time, and people who have already reached some of those things, who are, you know, either my age or a little bit older, you can't help but feel like you're getting left behind, or not getting left behind, but just falling behind in general. But ultimately, I guess this is just a part of life, unfortunately. I am a chronic overthinker though, so I don't think this feeling will ever go away, and just the, you know, thought processes and just laying awake at night thinking about my future and what I need to be doing, what I should be doing, what I want to be doing. And I hope that while I'm still, you know, in my mid-20s, going to be in my late 20s in a few years, that I don't have too many regrets. And it's really hard because, you know, you don't always get the opportunities that you would like, or you don't have the resources that you need to pursue certain things and certain hobbies or certain, you know, dreams, aspirations. Okay, but I am going to end the video here because I'm going to be completely honest, I don't remember everything that I've said or things I haven't said. So for the sake of not repeating myself and making you guys listen to the exact same thing, I'm going to end the video. But I do hope you guys enjoyed, or, you know, found this somewhat relatable, and maybe you're reassuring that, you know, all of us in our 20s are going through the exact same thing, you know, cliche or not, you know, it's hard. Living in your 20s is hard, and it's going to continue to be hard when you're out of your 20s, because life just sucks and it doesn't get easier. Everyone I know who's older tells me it doesn't get easier, so you know, we have that to look forward to. But once again, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see y'all next time.